right now. Good. Okay, perfect. Share screen.
Nelly,
All right.
I'm gonna pop out real quick.
Tell us where you're going.
I'm about to head to the airport. But I am going to the NSCA National Conference. So lots of
Where is
learning.
it?
It's in Vegas.
Where are you
So
staying?
at Caesars.
That's right. That's right.
So I will be talking to lots of other performance people and build relationships and learn new things. So hopefully I will
Awesome.
bring that knowledge back to you all. So
Awesome. Always recruiting as well. Try to meet as
Yep.
many young people, bring people to our group.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome.
Sounds good. Have fun on here.
Okay. Travel safe.
See you guys.
All right, so I'm gonna roll through this pretty quick, but there's some important things I want to hit being day one. All right, first thing, high performance. I mentioned what that is, that we are changing our name from Applied Health and Performance Science. I will hat tip to the history of Applied Health and Performance Science here in just a second and why we named it that way back in 2018, but then we'll spend the majority of the time talking about what high performance is. Before we even get started, I want everybody on this call to know you belong here. Okay. Part of a group is you belong here. If you want to be affiliated with this group, this is a really good group to be a part of. I started in 2004 as an intern. I would not be where I am today if somebody didn't take a chance on me. So it's very, very important to me that we create an internship program that people want to be a part of. Now, I will say it's not for everybody. So that although we want to be inclusive and help people, you gotta kind of ante up as well, and you gotta meet in the middle. So it's going to be a very active experience, but you got to really take it on yourself to be active. Nobody's really giving you anything. We don't technically owe anybody anything. Just like Coach Franklin does not owe me anything. The administration doesn't owe me anything. It's up to me to professionally develop it. So everybody here belongs here. This is a great opportunity, and we just have to take it and roll. All right. So the cool thing about this experience is you're going to be involved in a lot of different things. For example, I spent about 10 years of my career as a strength conditioning coach. So a lot that we do involves the physical element. I spent about 5 years in the technical tactical world as a football coach. So there's areas that we learn there. We teach every single day. So there's the mental aspect. So you're going to not just be in the weight room. You're not just going to be on the field or in the data analysis setting. You're going to be moving across a lot of different areas. I think for us too, as developing staff members, that's really important because it allows you to develop scope in a lot of different areas. You don't need a ton of depth early on in your career. You just need to be exposed to a lot of different things. Then you get to choose a vertical that you want to go in to become a specialist within. This opportunity will provide you that way. So what are you going to learn over the next semester? Just a foundational understanding of what are the core principles of athlete development. Okay, principles such as adaptation, such as thinking about high-low modeling, planning, organization, keeping the athlete at the center of everything that we do. That is athlete development. That is high performance. We're going to use a ton of different testing and monitoring tools. Some could be as intricate as a wearable that tracks athlete positional data and velocity over a practice or training session, or it could be as simple as tallying information on the sideline at a football game. How many snaps a running back is getting to the right side, how many throws a quarterback is throwing to level 2 to the left side. It could be very complex. It could be really simple, but we use information to pipe up to the coaches to make better informed decisions. Data management. So this is where, like Valeria and people in this area really help us. We are such a we're such a broad department that we don't know everything. But what we want to do is become a very eclectic group where we bring different people in from different specialty areas to have expertise in these different areas. But when we start to be able to manage information and manage data, that allows us to collect more, but it also allows us to use it more efficiently. Okay. And then finally, we want to deliver professional and performance educational content always. So I'm going to challenge everybody on here to be a creator. We need content. We need information that we can post to athletes, to coaches. So you'll be challenged during this semester to create content. We could put it here in the lab on a TV, we could put it on social media, but be a content creator of some kind in your own right. All right, what are you going to need for this? You're going to need access to Microsoft Teams. Everybody on here, I'm just kind of thinking about everybody on here is a Penn State student, so you should have free access to Microsoft Teams through Penn State. That will be our central hub for file sharing. I do not want emails sent with files. I do not want links sent with files. Everything goes in Microsoft Teams. And it goes back to just creating a relic of the past. If I create something and then I go take a different job, I want that information to stay with this organization forever, because that's how a department develops over time. So everything will be on Microsoft Teams, from scheduling to planning to projects. All right, professional attire. We don't have a ton of rules with this, and I'll talk a little bit about this in a minute, but just be professional in appearance and a computer. Optional materials. I'm going to switch screens here. Tell me if you cannot see this. Can everybody see this? Okay, optional materials. You do not have to buy this, but being in this field, it would probably behoove you to have this textbook. It's just the CSCS manual, the Essentials of Strength Conditioning. It is a fantastic reference for many of the problems that you may encounter when working in high performance. The next one, a little bit newer, it's kind of in the lane of sports science. It is truly the NSCA's version of a sports science textbook. So both of these versions, and it's going to be on this document that I'll send to you. They're optional. I'm not going to require anything out of them, but it could be beneficial for you to have in your library. Okay. Back here. So evaluation. This is going to be very much evolving. So I talked to Lori quite a bit, Lori Gravish, and we're always trying to evolve how we're doing this experience. How are we grading? And as I put in my comments at the end of the semester, I don't want it to be so strict that it's kind of crippling and handcuffing to your creativity as a professional, but I don't want it to just be a pushover. So about half of your evaluation will be upon your professional attendance. Did you just show up and go through the motions, or did you actively contribute? Were you professional over time? Active engagement is in there as well. So like things like this, where I talk about engaging with this group. In a minute, I'm going to talk about using Microsoft Teams to be a great role player in this department. Were you active in that, or did you just kind of sparsely, participate? And then how can you contribute to Penn State athletics? Penn State athletics is different than any place that I've ever been, but I would make the argument that it's probably different than most places that anybody has ever been, in that it is a small town. It is a college town. We're in a very rural place that's kind of decentralized from anywhere. So the lifeblood of this town is largely Penn State athletics. So anybody, and this goes back to the statement that I said at the beginning, you belong. Anybody that makes an active contribution to Penn State athletics, even if it's the smallest little thing, not only impacts the department, not only impacts the Penn State athletics, it impacts State College. So like, I want everybody to take ownership in that and to realize like you belong here and you can really, really contribute to what we're trying to do here. Any questions at this point? And please, I can't really see everybody at this point because I'm sharing my screen, but if you do, just like interrupt, just unplug and then say something. All right. So high performance. How did we get to where we are today? So the name, when it was originally started, was called Penn State Applied Health and Performance Science. Long name, hard to discuss, but the impetus of it was to focus on the applied health areas within health and wellness. So things like that, it pertains to like, there's 7 different aspects of just total human wellness, all the way from physical to spiritual. Okay, so maximizing those different areas. Think about the low-hanging lifestyle elements of our lives that we can improve to impact performance: sleep, hygiene, habits, routine, things like that. Then the performance science piece is basically just using information to make better informed decisions. This is where everybody kind of gets it kind of twisted a little bit. When they think about sports science, it's thinking like all technology, all data, all evaluation, all measurement. That's the furthest from the truth. Performance science is planning. It's using information to embed in the plan, to scrutinize the plan to see if it needs to be changed for the future. That is performance science. Sports science, okay, different than performance science. Sports science is in a lab setting. That is where we could be taking blood lactate levels. We could be taking VO2 max. We could be doing things like that. Currently, at the moment, we do not do sports science. We do performance science. So we take information to inform practice over time. And as we go through the semester, I'll continue to bifurcate and talk about the differences there. All right. So how do we approach athlete development? I'm going to go fast through this, but we'll spend a significant amount of time on this to the point where I want everybody to be able to speak the same language about athlete development. So when we think about athlete development, and I kind of spoiled it a second ago when I was breaking down these components, but when we think about athlete development, it can be seen in this pyramid. I want us all to take this pyramid and be able to learn about what we're doing, to be able to recite kind of all these different areas. So when we think about athlete performance, it all starts with health. It starts with wellness. It's basically like all the low-hanging fruit things I talked about, from sleep to lifestyle to habits. I want us all to be able to communicate that the wider this foundation and the thicker this foundation, the higher our pyramid we can stack on top of. Okay. The next level, I stole this from a guy named Fergus Connolly, another great textbook for you to get. It's called Game Changer. Okay. He talks about 4 coactives of athlete development. The physical. Easy to think about the physical when you just think about developing a great big engine in the weight room, or conditioning, having great bioenergetic profile to be able to handle the demands of everything. Biomechanics, having a great biomechanical profile to be able to handle rotation, movement in all different planes. The 2 in the middle I like to teach together. Technical would be like the skills of your sport. If I'm a basketball player, it's ball handling. If I'm a football player, it could be movement in all directions. If a baseball player or golfer, I could be my swing profile. Tactics are the X's and O's, the scheme. Every sport has a different degree of contribution from both of these. For example, golf has much less tactical than soccer does. Soccer has pretty balance, where football may have extreme amounts of tactical in the film room. Okay. So all these different things play together, but each sport may be a little bit different. The last one is mental. So the mental is just the headspace to be confident, to be consistent over time. And this basically, all these different areas in the middle are trainable over time. So if we start with the foundation and we work on the complete athlete, we can lead toward high performance. And I want us all to know that high performance is essentially the consistent execution of a task. So what's my job? Can I complete it every single day consistently and successfully? So now how do we do it within our department? And I'll send this out, obviously, so you don't have to know every single thing. But the first stage is learning and development. So we want, as I mentioned, I want everybody on here to think about themselves as a content creator. I want people to be able to create content so that we can share positive vibes around health and performance. Okay, so things like sharing information on social media, our TVs, team talks. Many of you all may be engaged with a team this fall, and a coach should say, "Hey, Ethan, you've been with us for a year with field hockey. Do you have anything to say at the end of practice?" Then you go straight to the pyramid and you bring up a small snippet that we've discussed in the past. It may be, Valeria, you're working with somebody that comes to the lab and asks you something. You educate them on managing their data in simple columns and rows so that it's more, able to be handled over time. It's all about just learning and development, because if we, as this group, try to control all that we're doing and we don't teach people how to do it, we'll become a massive bottleneck. And quite frankly, our information is not going to be used. We need to teach people what's going on. All right, the next segment. After we engage with teams at this level, we move to what's called performance management. So performance management, going back to planning, going back to organization, this is performance science, okay? High performance and performance science starts and ends with planning. I have an annual plan, which is a year. I have a block plan. I have a week plan. I have a practice or training plan. Infusing information into that plan and then auditing it routinely can allow me to make better decisions over time. Then I can decide, do I keep the same plan? Do I change the plan? Or what do we need to do there? But performance management is all about planning. And then finally, it's using data, it's using technology, information to help work backwards in what we're doing. So at this stage, we're collecting information. It could be on our force plate technology. It could be on our wearables. It could be on our clipboard metrics that I was talking about tallying. I feed it back into the plan. I make a decision, and then I decide who and what I need to teach at a given moment. That's how our framework works within our department. Anybody have any questions or comments at this point? All right, we'll keep rolling. This will go a little bit faster now. All right, so just generally speaking with policies and protocols. So we're obviously in the big leagues, and I cannot say this enough without knowing what is going to happen in college sports. I don't think anybody does fully know what our next evolution will be. But if you do look at college sports and you keep up with what we're doing, we're in the Big Ten Conference. There's really only about 2, maybe 3 leagues right now that you could say are going to be the big leagues moving forward. We are front and center at that. So every single thing that we do is going to be very, very scrutinized to the max. So we have to make sure that we're following any rules. So if you're in a situation and you have a decision to make, whether something is ethical, whether something is not, err on the side of doing what is right, doing what is conservative, and your best out in your position as an entry-level staff member is to say, hey, that's above my pay grade, go talk to Nellie, okay? Do not put yourself in a position that you're unhireable in this setting at Penn State, in this conference, or or across the country. Okay, we have to follow all rules. And that's not just like rules on paper, that's unwritten rules, like ethical rules as well. Any questions with that? Most likely, people are not going to be in a situation to be in a bad situation. In your shoes during this experience, you should not be put in a difficult situation with this, but I do want us all to make sure that we're doing what is right above everything. All right. Attendance will be mandatory. Now, in settings like this, we do have a couple people that are working. I completely get it. If you communicate with me, if you communicate with Olivia, Dan, or Tom, you're good. But if you should be somewhere, you should be there. Okay, attendance is mandatory. Now, if something pops up, if an emergency comes up, you should contact me immediately, and then whoever you were talking with on that specific day or working with on that specific day. So what you'll see here is our department is very decentralized. So you're not coming to the lab every day to see me to get work orders. You would be placed with a team, and then you directly report to that group every single day. So essentially, you're supporting the performance staff that you are assigned with. So if something pops up, emergencies do happen, you call me immediately. Hey, Nellie, I'm going to miss field hockey practice today. I'm going to miss ice hockey practice today. And we'll say, okay, great. Make sure you talk to KJ. Make sure you talk to Jared. the strength conditioning coach there, but it's always about communication. But attendance is truly mandatory. Any questions with that? All right, professionalism. Just basic things that not going to even read through this all, but this is really, really important to me. Every single day is an interview. Okay. Every single day is an interview. At the end of an experience, we have a job pop up. If you apply to it, and you haven't showed up every day along the interview, you're likely not going to get a look for the position. Don't wait for the job opportunity to start your interview. So when you come in and you're hustling and you're doing different things and you're contributing to the department, keep in mind that everybody's watching you. The athletic director, Pat Kraft, is the most involved athletic administrator I've ever been around in my life. He understands performance. He'll ask questions. He will see you. He's also interviewing you. Whether he's knowing it or not, he'll know who you are and he'll know who you're working with. Okay. The sport coach is interviewing you. The strength conditioning coach that you're supporting will be interviewing you. I will be interviewing you. So every single day is an interview. So keep that in mind as you go forth. Okay. Ask questions. So this is not a passive kind of thing. Now, you can't just come in and knock on the door. I heard a study recently. Like I have glass windows in my office here. And it's really hard when I'm really deep diving in something where somebody comes up and says, "Hey, do you have anything to do?" The study I read recently was if you get interrupted when you're in a period of deep work, it takes about 15 to 20 minutes to get back into deep work. So when you have interruptions all day, it's really challenging. So I say that, but then I say, find ways to ask questions, but it may not be to ask the full-time staff. Ask people in your circle, what's going on? How can I help? How can I be involved? Watch. Asking questions can be just also watching what people are doing and then jumping in so they don't have to do something. So taking initiative is number 3 too, finding ways to do things without asking a ton of questions about, hey, do you have anything for me today? Do you have anything for me? Just take initiative and do it. All right. Part of being professional is just things need to be confidential. And I'm going to talk about that in just a second. Create a portfolio. At the end of this semester in the winter, I want everybody to have some sort of portfolio. Ideally electronic, but it could be just a running document. It could be something like that, but I want everybody to have something to take away with them so that you're not scrambling if and when you get a job interview. Everybody feel good about that? Okay. Professionalism is everything. And I'll keep going back to like every single day is an interview. An old boss of mine, he works for the Carolina Panthers now. He used to hammer that home to us, and it truly is accurate. You're not going to get a job on the interview. You're going to get the job every single day by showing up and working. All right, professional socialization with athletes and or staff. Okay, this is a tough one because you guys are students. Okay, so it's challenging because Saturday after a football game, people are out downtown. You may see athletes. Okay, on a social event, you may run into staff members, things like that. There's a really fine line between engaging in activities and different types of contact with athletes while you're working in this capacity. It is extremely hard to separate the two. What we want to do is to avoid socialization with athletes at all times. Okay, so if you're out and you're doing your thing and you see a group of athletes come in, I would recommend finishing what you're doing, finishing your drink, and then going to find somewhere else. There's not a lot of good things that can happen with you trying to get into this field, being in the same place as student athletes. Now, I'm going to say, if there's ever a situation where you're in a relationship with a student athlete and it's currently existing or it's starting to develop, be communicative and talk to me. And let's make sure that everything is playing cards up so everybody knows what's going on. But typically speaking, what I'll do, I'm 37 years old. I'll go out with my wife. We'll go out on a date night. If I go downtown and we're eating dinner and maybe we're having a beer, we're having a glass of wine. If I see student athletes walk in, I respond to them. I'll say, hello, how you doing, man? But then I'm out. I'm not going to act weird. I'm a grown person. They're grown people, but I'm not going to stay in the same setting as them. There's nothing good that can come from that. Now, conversely, I keep hammering planning. Okay. We can also plan for these things. If it is Saturday after a home football game and I'm planning to go out and have a good time, where should I probably not go? The big venues downtown, because I know the likelihood of encountering student athletes is slightly higher than doing something else. So just being smart, just being professional is really going to help you in this game, and keeping in mind every single day is an interview in everybody's eyes. Anybody have questions with that? It's a sensitive topic. I just want to make sure that we're doing every single thing right that we need to do. Understand? All right, dress code. So don't have a ton of rules with this. The only big, huge, big rule is at no point when you are working for this group will you wear red. Okay. You cannot wear red on your tennis shoes. You cannot wear red on a belt. Nothing. No shirts, no undershirts, zero red. Okay. That's the quickest way to get run off of the day, is to wear red. Does everybody understand that? If you're in a pinch and you have some problems, call me directly and we will solve it. But no red. Okay. All right. So basically, think about the situation that you're in. So on any given day, I always come to work with two different types of clothes. I have, like what I'm wearing now, I have some gym shorts on because it's the summer, and I just have a top. Underneath, I have a t-shirt. In my truck, I keep a pair of slacks and a polo with a belt and some dress shoes. And then in my locker, or my duffel bag here, I got a pair of khaki shorts and a button up, or like a polo kind of deal, because I don't know what I'm going to get called to do. Yesterday morning, I go from a meeting with some donors where I had to look nice straight to the weight room where we're timing pro agility drills. So I have to change clothes really quickly. So professionally, I need to dress to fit the situation. I think you can't go wrong with things like athleisure gear, general Penn State gear, anything like that. I think you're going to be good 9 times in 10, but always thinking across your career, like, what do you need to be prepared for on any given day? Okay. But for us, we have an exclusive contract with Nike. So if you're ever at a game, if you were ever at a venue with football, men's and women's basketball, wrestling, women's volleyball, ice hockeys, things that are routinely on TV, we need to avoid having things like Adidas, Under Armour front and center. Okay. We can have blank or unmarked clothing, but those other logos will get us in trouble. Just understand, from a situational awareness standpoint, where you are and who's watching you. Okay. Accepted colors, obviously, like navy, white, gray, black, khaki, green, anything but red. Does that make sense? All right. All right. Now we're getting a little bit more specific now. Does anybody have any questions about professionalism, general expectations? All right. Moving on. So we are transitioning from a in-house build that we've used in Microsoft in the past for all of our data to a third-party group known as Smartabase. Smartabase is a data management company that specializes in sport and electronic medical record data that was recently procured by Teamworks, which is a communications company that we also use here at Penn State. But basically, we are building out forms, data flows, and dashboards so that all of our sports use the exact same thing. So Penn State football will look identical to softball. Softball will look identical to women's golf, to men's wrestling. Everybody will have the exact same thing. So in your experience here, you will have access to a Smartabase portal. So you'll have the ability to enter information into our system. So we will teach that moving forward. Next week, we're also going to talk about a staff checker system so that anything that you do, you will put into the record keeping system. So for example, if I give this educational talk here, I'll click on my name, Nelly, event, I'll put like education, attendees, duration, submit. And then it's a relic of what you've contributed to the department. We also use tools like Power BI, a little bit of R for deep dives of our stats and data information. This is a very, very good tool for people to learn. It's extremely easy, pretty intuitive, especially with all the resources that are online. So this is one thing that people can start looking into if you'd like. This is going to come in about 2 weeks, but you feel free to start. There is a free Smartabase Academy experience. If you want to look on smartabase.com, go to the Academy button, sign up. It is all free, and it'll kind of take you through a little tour of the system. And then we'll have a ton more education for you on how to use it. Everybody here, once we get to actually working in person, we'll sign a non-disclosure agreement. It's really, really important, especially in today's day, that we do not disclose any information. That goes from health information, that goes to performance information. Many of our athletes here are going to have the opportunity to compete at the next level, especially on some of your higher profile sports. So the last thing that we want to do is to accidentally disclose information that could hurt their draft stock and cost them money. The last thing we want to do is disclose information that could give a tactical advantage away for certain teams that could cost us a ball game. Not only that, disclosing HIPAA data and FERPA data is illegal. So you're going to be involved in a lot of this information. And we're probably not going to deal too much with HIPAA data, health data, but FERPA data is where the performance data, so catapult data, wellness metrics, even performance data exist in this space. FERPA data is anything that is related to educational information. That's what you're going to deal with every single day. And disclosing that intentionally or unintentionally is against the law. So we need to keep that in mind. And I kind of already talked about this with just draft stock. This is the big leagues. So anything that we do to compromise an athlete's ability to move to the next level and to have a really successful career is unethical on our step and on our point. And then we have a ton of different things that we have to follow from a data security standpoint from Penn State. All right, moving on. This is, like I said, this is going to be the only time I'm going to sit here and just go down word for word everything. But essentially, we will use Microsoft Teams as our communication channel. Okay. Think about college sport. Think about an athletic department or a single sport team as an ecosystem. We need to find a way to connect everybody. Now, we've done this in the past through Microsoft Teams. We're now leveraging Smartabase, as I had mentioned. But for us, our actual channel here in our little intern hub, that's going to help us connect everything. So we need to kind of keep moving forward with that. Okay. So that will be our primary area. I mentioned that everybody is responsible for your own development. We will invite you to everything. So we hold a performance school and a performance academy. Performance school is targeting coaches and staff on our campus here. We'll put your email in that. It's not an obligation, not a requirement, but it would be beneficial if you see something that you like and that you want to be a part of, just hop in, just be a part of it and contribute to what we're doing. That's typically in the afternoons in the fall around 12 o'clock on Wednesdays. Also with our athletes, we hold a similar thing. This is a little bit lighter in content. It's like guest speakers, pro athletes, companies that are doing different things. And we hold that at nights on Wednesday. So this is not just, it's not all inclusive, but like anything that we put out, I'll just attach your email to it. And please join. You know, nobody can force you to be a part of things. You just hop on and join. Many of you guys on here too have been in the summer on some of the things that we've already posted, and we'll keep doing that. This is our YouTube channel. I'm going to click over here, and I'll show you kind of how. This is our YouTube channel. So we post everything on YouTube. Now, if there's something that is maybe sensitive, we won't, but all these different things are different learning things that we've talked about. It could be one of our staff members that's talking about a specific, this is like, well, this is me, ugly me. I'm trying to find somebody else here. So here's an example, another one I've done. But basically our staff members, here's Cole Gardner. He works for the Houston Texans now, talking about RPE data. So this would be beneficial for you to start looking through over the summer to just get a feel for what we're doing. And basically everything that we do, we will put on here so that it is a relic of what's going on. And then just what I want to try to develop here before I go through the semester, and I'll open it up for questions before we finish, is we are starting a farm system here. So in 4 years, we have people in the NFL, at multiple places, at companies, Major League Baseball, colleges, even here internally. It's going to come to the point where as we keep getting people and job openings, I don't want to look external. You know, right now, if a job opening pops up, and it happens every single semester, my colleagues around the country call us. And that's why we have people at some of these places. But I don't want to look externally for people when we have a farm system here. So I want you to think about, what do you want to do? It doesn't have to be in this lane, but it could be in any lane. Like Carly, you mentioned athletic training. Once you finish, we shouldn't let you go anywhere. We should find an opportunity for you here. How can we do that? John, what is your end game? How can we connect the dots during your experience here so that somebody doesn't steal you from what we're doing? It is our goal here to create a farm system so that, yeah, it feels great to like send all these different people to different places. But if we can keep our talent here, that's what we want to do. So anybody have any questions before we get into our semester schedule? All right. So I'm just going to go through the first 3 or 4 weeks here, and I'll show you kind of how this will be set up. And now this is the very first time I've done it like this. So this is going to be very much a running document. But basically I have each week here set up, and I'm going to have a theme that we'll talk about in terms of performance, which is in the white, and then something about technology and data systems in the gray. I'll have some basic learning outcomes on what you can expect, and then I'll have just some low-level assignments. Now, look, this is not going to take a ton of time. I just want everybody to be involved and active. Okay, so today, we're going to introduce ourselves to Penn State Sports Performance. That's kind of what we've done. I would love everybody to check out the website, look at our YouTube channel, and then once I send this out, our internship syllabus. Assignments over here in resources, you know, I'm not going to make you buy anything, but all these things, I'm going to just link things. So this video here, if you listen to this, that is me talking about applied health and performance science and why we did it from a historical lens. Here's me talking more in depth about the 3 divisions that I talked about. This is about the athletic pyramid. I would recommend just taking a few minutes and going through that. Okay. This week, I also want you to download Microsoft Teams onto your computer and your mobile device so you can get push notifications if you don't already have it. And then I'm going to add you. I'll get our crew to add everybody to our channel, which looks essentially like this. This will be what will appear. And what I want everybody to be able to do is to use all the functions. So here's our chat. So if there's a big thing popping up here, I will just tag everybody and it'll say like team. Meeting today at 9 a.m. Reminder. And then it'll ding everybody on the team. If you're working on a project, this is kind of the places that we keep things, whether it's files or a specific project folder. Okay, so it's super simple. It just allows us, Ethan, you're already in here. Nick, you're already in here. Certain people have already contributed to this, but this allows us to stay up to date over time. Okay. It's this. Okay. And then the last thing I want us to do by the end of the week, it's Tuesday. I want everybody to go find a piece of educational content that you've enjoyed reading. It could be a peer-reviewed article. It could be a website. It could be a YouTube video. And I want you to come in to our channel once we add you. And I want you to tag everybody by putting @team and just say, I chose this because of XYZ. And then what I want us to do routinely is each week, everybody will share something that you're reading. So what I typically do is as I'm scrolling on Twitter, as I'm getting information from people, I save things away. So then if I ever need content, I post it right here. And I want everybody to do that weekly. Then just like a message board on a class, we can ask questions and we can converse with one another. Last thing, follow our department threads on social media. I'll post those on Teams so you have those. I will say too, some of the handles are going to be changing as we rebrand to High Performance, but you'll have educational content on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. So basically, I've got that built out for the next coming weeks. Next week, we're going to talk about quality coaching frameworks from the USOC. We're going to talk about Smartabase and how we're going to input information there. Week 3, we're going to talk truly about high performance. I got a couple articles here. If people struggle finding the articles that I post, like Glazier article, this Glazier article is my favorite article about performance of all time. It should be just right off the Penn State libraries. This one right here, Duncan French, interdisciplinary support. It should be easy to find. If not, I'll scan it and give it to everybody in a PDF. Just let me know. But basically, we're going to talk about high performance week 3. And then week 4, we're going to really start getting into like catapult sports. At this point, we're going to really start thinking about the time when everybody here is going to be probably working with a sport. So we want to make sure that we're capable of managing our technology. So at that point, we got about 54 minutes in. I went much longer than I typically do. But I wanted to be thorough this very first time. I'm going to stop the recording and then I want to take questions and make sure we have everything answered that everybody needs and that everybody wants. I'll post this video on YouTube and I'll share the link along with the syllabus. And like I said at the very beginning, you belong here. It's not for everybody, but if you want to be a part of this, you certainly belong here and it can be a really, really good experience. So